When I inherited my sister's $800,000 house, I thought my daughter would be happy for me. I was wrong. What I discovered when I told her I was selling it to travel the world changed everything I thought I knew about my own child. My name is Linda. I'm 68 years old, and until 6 months ago, I was a recently retired English teacher, living alone in a modest 2-bedroom house in Riverside, California. I'd been on my own for 12 years since my husband Paul passed away. My daughter Emma was my whole world. She's 35, married to Brad for 8 years, and they have 2 beautiful children, Sophie and Jake, ages 6 and 4. I thought we were close. Emma called me every Sunday. We had lunch together twice a month. She brought the kids over for sleepovers. I helped with school pickups when she was swamped at work. She's a marketing manager at a tech company, and Brad is a corporate lawyer. They seemed to be doing well, but I knew they struggled with their mortgage. They'd bought a house in an expensive neighborhood 3 years ago, and I'd heard Emma mention more than once how tight things were. Then my sister Margaret died. Margaret was 72, never married, no children. She'd been a successful real estate agent in San Diego for 40 years and had made smart investments. We weren't particularly close. We talked on holidays and birthdays, exchanged cards at Christmas. Our relationship was cordial but distant. So when her lawyer called me 2 weeks after her funeral and told me she'd left me her house, I was stunned. The house was in La Jolla, a beautiful 3-bedroom Spanish-style home with ocean views, a renovated kitchen, and a garden that Margaret had lovingly maintained. The lawyer told me it was worth about $800,000. $800,000. I sat in my living room after that call, staring at the wall. I'd never had that kind of money in my life. Paul and I had saved carefully, lived modestly. My teacher's pension was comfortable but not extravagant. This house represented financial security I'd never imagined. But more than that, it represented a choice. I could sell it and finally do all the things Paul and I had dreamed of but never got to do together. Travel to Ireland. See the northern lights in Iceland. Take a river cruise through Europe. Or I could move into it. Wake up every morning to the sound of waves. Start fresh in a new city. The first person I called was Emma. "Emma, sweetheart, I have news." My voice was shaking. I could barely contain my excitement. "What is it, Mom? Is everything okay?" She sounded concerned. "Everything's wonderful. Your Aunt Margaret left me her house in La Jolla." There was a pause. Then, "Oh my God, Mom, that's amazing. That house is gorgeous. I remember going there when I was little." "I know, right? I can't believe it. It's worth so much money, Emma. $800,000. Another pause. This one felt different. Longer. "Holy shit, Mom. That's incredible. You're rich." We laughed together. We talked about the house, about Margaret, about what this meant, and then Emma said something that made my heart skip a beat. "You should move in, Mom. Live there. Enjoy it. You deserve it after all those years of teaching." "Oh, I don't know, honey. It's a big house for one person, and I'd be so far from you and the kids. We could visit all the time. The kids would love the beach. And Mom, you'd be living in La Jolla. Do you know how amazing that is?" She was so enthusiastic, so genuinely happy for me. I hung up that call feeling loved and supported. But something nagged at me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Emma's reaction. It was perfect. Too perfect, maybe? No, I was being paranoid. My daughter loved me. She wanted what was best for me. But then I remembered something. 3 months ago, Emma and Brad had come over for dinner. I'd overheard them in the kitchen talking about their finances. Brad had sounded stressed. "We need to figure something out, Em. We can't keep living like this. The mortgage is killing us." Emma had replied, I know. We'll figure it out." I'd pretended not to hear. It wasn't my business. They were adults. They needed to handle their own problems. But now I had $800,000. Or access to it, at least. Was Emma thinking about the house as my future home, or as their financial salvation? I told myself I was being ridiculous. Emma wasn't like that. She'd never asked me for money, never hinted at needing financial help. She was independent, hardworking, proud. But the doubt had been planted. And once it was there, I couldn't shake it. I spent the next week thinking. I visited Margaret's house with the lawyer, walked through the rooms, stood on the back patio looking at the ocean. It was beautiful. It could be mine. Or it could be sold. And the money could give me freedom. That's when I decided to find out the truth. I decided to test Emma. I know how that sounds. I know testing your own child seems manipulative, dishonest, wrong. But I needed to know. Did she love me for me, or did she love me for what I could now give her? So I called her. It was a Thursday evening. I knew Brad would be home. Emma, honey, I need to talk to you about something. Sure, Mom. What's up? I've been thinking a lot about the house. About what to do with it. Okay. Her voice was careful now. Measured. I've decided to sell it. Silence. I'm going to sell it and use the money to travel. Really travel. Europe, Asia, everywhere your dad and I always wanted to go but never could afford. I'm 68 years old, Emma. If I don't do it now, when will I? More silence. Then, wow. Okay. That's great, Mom. You should definitely do that. You deserve to see the world. You think so? You don't think I'm being selfish? No. No, of course not. It's your house, your money. You should do whatever makes you happy. Her voice was bright, supportive, perfect. Too perfect. Thank you, sweetheart. That means so much to me. I just wanted to make sure you were okay with it. Absolutely. 100%. We talked for a few more minutes, and then Emma said she had to go. The kids needed baths. We said our goodbyes, and I hung up. And then I waited. I waited because I hadn't hung up completely. My phone has this feature where if you press a button, the other person thinks you've ended the call, but you can still hear them. Paul used to accidentally do it all the time, and I'd hear him muttering to himself about where he'd put his keys. I'd pressed that button, and now I was listening. At first, there was just shuffling, movement. Then I heard Emma's voice, farther away, like she'd put the phone down. Brad? Brad, can you come here for a second? Footsteps. Then Brad's voice. What's up? My mom just called. She's selling Margaret's house. Oh yeah? Brad sounded distracted. That's good. She'll have money to travel. Yeah. Emma's voice had changed. It was flat now. Cold. There goes our retirement plan. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Brad asked. I mean, I was thinking maybe eventually she'd let us have the house, or at least help us with our mortgage. But now she's selling it to go on some stupid bucket list trip. Brad sighed. It's her house. She can do whatever she wants with it. I know that, Brad. I'm not an idiot. But Jesus, $800,000? Do you know what we could do with that money? We could pay off our mortgage, put the kids through college, actually have some breathing room. We'll figure it out. We always do. Emma laughed. It wasn't a kind laugh. You know what kills me? She's always talking about how she wants to be close to the kids, how she hates being so far away. Well, here was her chance to move closer, to live in a beautiful house where we could actually visit her without it being a huge production. But no, she'd rather go chase some fantasy about being a world traveler at 68 years old. My hands were shaking. I couldn't breathe. Emma, that's pretty harsh. Brad's voice was softer now, maybe gentler. Is it harsh to expect your mother to think about her family, to think about her grandchildren? She is thinking about herself, which she's allowed to do. Fine. Whatever. I'm going to give the kids their baths. And then the call ended. Really ended. I sat there on my couch, staring at my phone. The room was spinning. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My daughter, my Emma, the little girl I'd raised, the woman I'd loved and supported through everything, had just wished I'd give her $800,000 instead of living my own life. I cried that night. I cried until I had no tears left. And then I got angry. I got very angry. Because I'd spent 30 years teaching other people's children. I'd spent 12 years alone, missing my husband, building a quiet life for myself. I'd helped Emma whenever she needed me. I'd babysat. I'd supported her career. I'd been there. And now that I had a chance at something more, she wanted me to give it up so she could pay off her mortgage? No, I wasn't going to let this go. I needed to confront her. But more than that, I needed her to understand what she'd said, what she'd revealed about herself. So I made a plan. The next morning, I called a real estate agent in La Jolla. I listed Margaret's house. I did it quickly, efficiently. The market was hot, and within a week, I had 3 offers, all around asking price. I accepted one. The closing date was set for 6 weeks out. And I didn't tell Emma. I waited. I went about my life normally. I called Emma on Sunday. We talked about the kids, about her work, about nothing important. She asked casually if I'd thought more about the house. Oh, I'm definitely selling it. I've already listed it, actually. I should have the money in about a month. Oh, that's fast. Her voice was tight. I know. I'm excited. I've been looking at cruise packages. There's one that goes to the Greek islands that looks amazing. That sounds nice, Mom. We said goodbye. I could hear the disappointment in her voice, but I didn't care. I needed her to show me who she really was. The weeks passed. The house sale went through. The money was transferred to my account. $800,000, minus closing costs and fees. I was now the wealthiest I'd ever been in my life. And I still hadn't told Emma the sale was final. 2 weeks after the closing, I made my move. I called Emma on a Tuesday afternoon. I knew she'd be at work, but she always picked up when I called. Mom, is everything okay? You never called during the day. I need your help, sweetheart. My voice was shaking. I'd practiced this, but it still felt awful. I've made a terrible mistake. What? What happened? The house money. It's gone. What do you mean, gone? I invested it. There was this financial advisor, and he seemed so credible, and he said he could double my money in a year. I thought I could travel even more, maybe leave something substantial for you and the kids. But it was a scam, Emma. It was all a scam. The money's gone. All of it. I heard her gasp. Oh my God, Mom. Oh my God. Are you sure? I'm sure. I've been to the police. I've talked to a lawyer. There's nothing I can do. It's gone. I let myself cry then. Real tears. Because even though I was lying about losing the money, the pain was real. The betrayal I'd felt from her conversation with Brad was real. Mom, I'm so sorry. That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. I don't know what to do, Emma. I already sold my house to buy a smaller place, and I put the down payment on a trip. I've spent so much already. I don't have anywhere to go. What do you mean you sold your house? I had to, honey. It was too big, too expensive to maintain on my pension. I was going to buy a little condo somewhere cheap with part of the house money and use the rest for traveling. But now I have nothing. There was a long pause. Where are you going to live, Mom? I don't know. I was hoping maybe I could stay with you and Brad for a little while. Just until I figure things out. Maybe a month or 2. Another pause. This one was longer. Finally, of course, Mom. Of course you can stay with us. Really? Oh, Emma, thank you so much. Thank you. I'll only be a few weeks, I promise. I just need to get back on my feet. It's fine, Mom. It's totally fine. Come whenever you need to. I'll come tomorrow, if that's okay. I've already packed most of my things. Tomorrow? Emma's voice rose slightly. Yeah. Tomorrow works. Let me just talk to Brad when he gets home and make sure we have the guest room ready. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you so much. I love you too, Mom. I hung up the phone and waited again. This time, I didn't stay on the line. I didn't need to. I knew what would happen next. Emma would call Brad. They'd discuss it. And then I'd see what they really thought of me living with them when I had nothing to offer. The next morning, I packed a suitcase. I'd actually sold my house 2 weeks ago, but not because I needed to. I'd sold it because I wanted to downsize anyway, and I was planning to move into a small condo near the beach. But Emma didn't need to know that. I drove to Emma's house. It took 90 minutes in traffic. I pulled up to their beautiful 4-bedroom home in Irvine, with its perfectly manicured lawn and double garage. I grabbed my suitcase and walked to the front door. I rang the doorbell. Nobody answered. I rang it again. Still nothing. I tried the doorknob. Locked. I pulled out my phone and called Emma. It rang, and rang, and rang. Then went to voicemail. I called Brad. Same thing. I walked around the side of the house to the back patio. I could see through the sliding glass doors into the kitchen. The lights were off. No movement inside. I tried calling Emma again. This time, she picked up. Mom! Hi! Her voice was breathless. I'm so sorry. We're not home right now. What do you mean you're not home? I'm here, at your house. You said I could come stay today. I know. I'm sorry. Something came up. A family emergency with Brad's parents. We had to drive up to Sacramento last night. We're going to be here for a few days. A few days? Emma, I don't have anywhere to go. Can't you stay in a hotel or something? Just for a few days? We'll be back by the weekend, and then you can come stay with us. I stood there in her backyard, looking at her house, her perfect house, and I knew she was lying. Because I'd driven past Brad's parents' house on my way here. They lived in Tustin, 10 minutes away, and both their cars were in the driveway. Sure, Emma, sure, I'll find a hotel. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'll call you later, okay? She hung up. I got in my car and drove away. I didn't cry this time. I was beyond crying. I drove to a coffee shop and sat there for 3 hours, thinking. Emma had lied to me. She'd promised I could stay, then abandoned me. She'd literally run away rather than let me into her home when I had nothing. Because that's what it came down to. When I was a recently wealthy woman who might leave her something someday, I was valuable. But when I was a broke old woman who needed help, I was a burden. The question was, what did I do now? I could walk away. I could take my $800,000, buy my condo, live my life, and never speak to my daughter again. Or I could give her a chance to explain herself, to redeem herself. I chose redemption. I spent that night in a hotel, a nice one because I could afford it, and in the morning I hired a private investigator. I know that sounds extreme, but I needed to know the truth. All of it. The investigator, a woman named Patricia, was efficient. Within 2 days, she confirmed what I already suspected. Emma and Brad hadn't gone to Sacramento. They'd stayed in a hotel in Newport Beach, 40 minutes away. They'd taken the kids out of school, called in sick to work, and were hiding from me. My own daughter was hiding from me like I was some kind of stalker. Patricia also gave me something else. Security camera footage from a neighbor's camera that faced Emma's driveway. The footage showed Emma and Brad loading suitcases into their car at 11 p.m. the night before I was supposed to arrive. They were rushing, looking over their shoulders. Sophie was crying. Jake was half asleep in Brad's arms. They'd fled their own home to avoid me. I watched that footage 3 times. Each time, I felt something inside me harden. This wasn't just disappointment or betrayal anymore. This was cold, calculated rejection. But I still wanted to give her a chance. On day 4, I tracked them down to the hotel in Newport Beach. Patricia had gotten me the room number. I drove there, parked, and walked into the lobby like I belonged there. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor and found room 309. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Emma, I know you're in there. I saw your car in the parking lot. We need to talk. Silence. Then very quietly I heard Brad's voice. Don't answer it. And Emma whispered back, she'll go away eventually. Something broke in me then. Standing in that hotel hallway, listening to my daughter whisper about me going away, I realized I'd lost her. Not now, but sometime before, maybe years ago. Maybe when she'd gotten married and started building her life without me. Maybe when I'd stopped being useful. I didn't knock again. I left. I went back to my hotel room and sat on the bed, numb. And then I made a decision. I was done chasing Emma. I was done trying to prove my worth to her. I was done giving her chances she clearly didn't want. But I wasn't done being her mother. I called my lawyer. I set up a trust fund for Sophie and Jake, $200,000 each, to be released when they turn 25. The rest of the money, I kept for myself. Then I wrote Emma a letter. Dear Emma, I know where you are. I know you've been avoiding me. I know you lied about Brad's parents in Sacramento. I also know what you said to Brad the night I told you I was selling Margaret's house. I heard everything. I stayed on the line. I tested you, Emma. I lied about losing the money because I wanted to see if you loved me or if you loved what I could give you. And I got my answer. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just sad. I'm sad that somewhere along the way, I failed you as a mother. I must have taught you that love is conditional, that people are valuable only for what they can provide, and I'm sorry for that. But I'm also sad for you, because you've lost something precious. You've lost a mother who would have done anything for you, who would have helped you with your mortgage, who would have been there for your children, who loved you unconditionally. Instead, you chose to see me as a resource, a potential inheritance, a backup plan. When I lost the money, you ran. You literally fled your own home rather than help me. Do you understand what that says about you? I haven't lost the money, Emma. I lied. I still have all of it, and I'm using it to buy a condo near the beach. I'm using it to travel. I'm using it to live the life I deserve. I've also set up trust funds for Sophie and Jake. They'll each get $200,000 when they turn 25. I want them to have opportunities. I want them to know their grandmother loved them, even if their mother couldn't love me the way I deserved. I don't know if we'll ever repair this. I'd like to think we can. But that's up to you now. You need to decide what kind of person you want to be, what kind of mother you want to be, what kind of daughter. If you decide you want me in your life because you love me, not because of what I can give you, my door is open. But if you want me in your life because you want my money someday, stay away. I love you, Emma. I always will. But I love myself too. And I've learned that sometimes loving yourself means walking away from people who don't see your value. Your mother. I mailed the letter to her house. And then I moved on with my life. I bought a beautiful one-bedroom condo in Encinitas, 15 minutes from the beach. I furnished it with things I loved. I took a watercolor class. I joined a book club. I made friends who actually wanted to spend time with me. And I didn't call Emma. 3 weeks went by. I didn't hear from her. On week 4, I got a text. It was long, really long. Mom, I got your letter. I don't even know where to start. You're right. About everything. I was horrible. I said horrible things. I thought horrible things. And I don't have an excuse. I think somewhere along the way, I started seeing you as someone who was supposed to help us, not as a person with your own life and dreams. When you got the inheritance, my first thought wasn't, I'm happy for Mom. It was, maybe this will solve our problems. That's so messed up. I know it is. Brad and I have been talking a lot. When you showed up at the house and we ran, he told me I was making a huge mistake. He said we were being cruel. He was right. I wish I could take it all back. I wish I'd been the daughter you deserved. But I wasn't. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve forgiveness. But I want you to know that I'm going to therapy. I'm working on myself. I'm trying to understand why I became this person. And Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Not because of the money, not because of the trust funds for the kids, which I didn't even know about until your letter. I'm sorry because I hurt you, because I failed you, because I treated you like an ATM instead of my mother. If you want to talk, I'm here. If you don't, I understand. I love you. I really do. Emma, I read that text 5 times, and then I called her. She picked up on the first ring. Mom? Hi, sweetheart. She started crying immediately. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I know you are. And I appreciate that. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not. But I'm your mother, and I love you. That doesn't just go away. We talked for 2 hours. She explained everything. The financial pressure, the way Brad's lawyer's salary wasn't as secure as it seemed, the mounting debt from trying to keep up appearances in their neighborhood, the fear that they'd lose everything. None of it was an excuse, she said, but it was context. I told her I understood. Because I did. Not that I condoned what she'd done, but I understood how financial stress can make people act in ways they never thought they would. At the end of the call, I said, Emma, I need you to know something. I love you, but I also love myself, and I'm not going to be in a relationship where I'm valued only for what I can provide. If we're going to rebuild this, it has to be real. I understand, Mom. I want that too. Okay, then let's start over. Slowly, one step at a time. And we did. It's been 6 months since then. Emma comes to visit me every other week. Sometimes she brings the kids. Sometimes it's just her. We talk, really talk, about her fears, my fears, what we both want from this relationship. She's kept up with therapy. She's working on her relationship with money, with expectations, with what she wants versus what she needs. Brad apologized to me in person. He admitted he hadn't stopped Emma from running, and he felt ashamed of that. I told him I appreciated his honesty. The kids don't know what happened. They just know Grandma has a cool new house near the beach and they love coming to visit. I still have most of the money. I've taken 2 trips, one to Ireland and one to Alaska. Both were incredible. I'm planning a trip to Greece for next spring. I think about Margaret sometimes, about her house that started all of this. I wonder if she knew what would happen when she left it to me, if she knew it would test Emma and me in ways I never expected. Maybe she did. Margaret was always perceptive. What I've learned from all of this is simple but profound. Love should never be conditional on what someone can give you. And if you find yourself calculating someone's worth based on their assets, you've already lost something essential about what it means to be human. Emma learned that lesson the hard way. So did I. But we're both better for it now. And you know what? I'm happy. Really happy. I have my condo, my watercolor class, my book club, my trips. I have a daughter who's learning to love me for me, not for what I can provide. And I have Sophie and Jake, who will someday have money to start their adult lives, money that comes with a letter from me explaining why their grandmother set it aside for them. Because I want them to know that real love, the kind that matters, isn't about inheritance or houses or financial security. It's about showing up, being there, choosing someone not because you have to, but because you want to. Emma is learning that. I hope she teaches it to her children. And I hope I never have to test anyone I love ever again. Because the truth is, the test hurt me as much as it hurt Emma. Maybe more. Because I had to face the possibility that my daughter didn't love me the way I'd always believed she did. But now I know. She does love me. She just had to remember how. And that, in the end, is worth more than any inheritance. Even $800,000.